Good evening, sir. We'll start in another 2 minutes, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar, sir. So you have to unmute yourself, sir. Yeah, good evening, Dr. Rajgopal, sir.
Good evening, Sandeep.
I wish you all a very happy Occupational Health Day. We are all celebrating this on the eve of Occupational Health Day. So, President, sir, we'll start sharp at 5:30.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, and wishing all of you definitely a very happy Occupational Health Day. Really appreciate. Nobody was responding, so I thought of wishing you in response. Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
May I request all the panelists to just put on their videos so that let it be a lively program. Good evening, Dr. Paul, Dr. Ashish, and Dr. Sanjay Rotito, sir.
Good evening once again, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Ashish.
So, welcome you all, sir, for the celebration of Occupational Health Day on the eve of the Occupational Health Day. As we all know that 9th of July is the foundation day of our esteemed association, Indian Association of Occupational Health, and it is celebrated by us as the Occupational Health Day across in India. So, to start this celebration, may I request to start with Ganesh Vandana.
सिंदूर लाल चढ़ायो अच्छा गजमुख को चोंदिल लाल विराजे सुत गौरी हर को हाथ लिए गुड़ लड्डू साई सुरवर को महिमा कहे न जाए लागत हूँ पद को जय देव जय देव जय जय जी गणराज विद्या सुखदाता धन्य तुम्हारो दर्शन मेरा मन रमता जय देव जय देव
With this auspicious prayer, may I request our President, sir, to give the welcome address. President IUH, Dr. J. Vijay Rao, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. At the outset, let me wish all the delegates a very happy Occupational Health Day. Respected seniors, my executive members, branch presidents, secretaries, central council members, past presidents, IOH members, and today's speakers, Dr. Rajgopal sir, Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar sir, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to all of you to today's IOH Day celebrations in the form of a special CME program. At the outset, let me congratulate all my branch presidents and secretaries and members for planning and organizing IOH Day celebrations all over the country. I am happy that all the members are in celebration mood to carry on the celebrations all over the country. As you all know, 9th July is a Foundation Day, is celebrated as Occupational Health Day. It is exactly on this day that is the 9th July, the three visionaries, Professor Kosher, Tara Purwala, and Colonel Najib Khan. These three visionaries nurtured an idea of forming a society in steel city of India, that is Jamshedpur, with a few like-minded people to address the problems faced by employees in the working area due to various hazards present in the shop floor. Later on, the society became association to present to the needs of the present generation. And now the Indian Association of Occupational Health is having more than 3,000 members and 28 branches all over the country. During this long journey, I have passed or crossed or witnessed so many milestones, prioritizing, selecting themes every year to achieve the goal. So this year too, IOH has selected a theme after discussions, deliberations among the executive members. The theme is Occupational Health, Foundation for Future Ready Organizations and Well-being of Workforce. The theme is rightly chosen as we navigate through the storm of COVID-19 pandemic and prepare for the success in the post-COVID era. Workforce health management has become critical for the continuity of business across the globe. While acknowledging the impact of the pandemic on people's well-being, organizations need to rebalance their priorities and empower the occupational health physicians to develop a resilient culture. Friends, with all your cooperation, support, and contributions and help, we could do good activities and overcome few challenges, important challenges, and achieve them successfully, such as the getting ICO 27 bidding, total revamping of IOH website, continuing collaborations with governments and corporate sectors such as DZ Fastly, SYM, Medicam, etc., to benefit our members at large. As you know, an organization's success is the outcome of employees' engagement and productivity. Organizations have realized the immense value that their occupational health team brings in protecting their employees' families through preventive medicine and predictive analysis. Employees are much more engaged when they are confident that efforts are being made to safeguard their health. Occupational health leaders in companies have ensured that workplace comply with all required measures and pay attention to the mental health of their employees. Proactive communication, information sharing, and informal relationships among colleagues and supervisors have worked wonders during the new normal era. It gives me immense pleasure that one of the important tasks that we set out was total revamping of IOH website. The website will help to maintain a regular communication with our members and increase our membership base. It is fully user friendly. We look forward to some exciting national and international conventions to be organized in Mumbai and Delhi, like EPICO 2023, ICO 27 in Mumbai, and IOH National Conference 2023 in Delhi. We need young leaders to set up, actively participate, and get involved in our future endeavors. Do join us and let us collectively take up this challenge to spread our reach and impact as thought leaders and make our vision a reality. Lastly, I thank all the seniors, executive members, CC members, all IOH members for supporting me in all the endeavors. I thank today's speakers, Dr. Rajgopal sir and Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar sir, for readily accepting our invitation to share their experiences and making this program a meaningful one and successful. Thank you all.
Thank you, President sir. So, on the eve of Occupational Health Day celebration, we have got two eminent speakers, Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar and Dr. T. Rajgopal. So, before we start the program, may I request our Chief Guest, Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar, to inaugurate the this particular program so that this will be the starting of the Occupational Health Day celebrations across India by all the branches. So first program that is being conducted by IUS Center on the eve of Occupational Health Day. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. What to do now?
So you just, with your permission, we have digitally inaugurated this Occupational Health Day program, and the theme which our President Sir has given is occupational health, which is the foundation of future-ready organization and well-being of the workforce. And on this theme, sir, all our branches, they will be conducting programs in near future, and we all will be interacting with our organizational management, our workers, and telling them what is the importance of occupational health in business sustainability and for workers' health, well-being, and even we will be focusing on the unorganized sector, sir. Now, before we move forward, sir, may I request our guest of honor, Dr. T. Rajgopal. Dr. T. Rajgopal, our past president of IUH, to inaugurate the IUH Ocean Quarterly Newsletter, which is a new revamped version. Dr. Rajgopal, sir, with your permission, can we start, sir?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah. So, sir, this will be the revamped version of the Ocean Quarterly newsletter of Indian Association of Occupational Health. This will be volume 3 and issue 1 from April to June 2022. Now, may I request to share the PDF file of this e-newsletter, and later on, we would request Ocean Committee Chairperson to formally circulate it. So, this is the e-newsletter, which is the revamped one, and this will be the mouthpiece of Indian Association of Occupational Health. Next, you can just continue with the pages. Yeah. So, next. It will highlight all the activities of Indian Association of Occupational Health, the meetings which we have conducted, forthcoming events, the events which we have already been covered by IUH branches, even our affiliation with International Commission on Occupational Health and the ICO activity. Then it will give you the summary of the branch members, IUH branch office bearers, the president and secretary, their contact email IDs. And next, these are the various working committees which have been formed for these our tenure for conducting day-to-day business of Indian Association of Occupational Health. Next, and the last page will be the about the social media. So this will be circulated amongst all our members, and gradually we will increase upon and we will further improve upon the contents of this newsletter with the suggestions of our seniors and colleagues. So with this, now may I request Dr. Ashish Vijay Jain. He is also Vice President of AUSD, and he is. May I request him to introduce Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar.
Good evening, everybody. Today it's a proud privilege to introduce Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar. He needs no introduction. He has been an eminent public health physician by training. He has had more than 33 years of experience in different fields related to communicable, non-communicable disease, community-based research. He has implemented a lot of projects on HIV/AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, malnutrition. Has to his credit more than 65 original articles. He has been awarded the prestigious ICMR award of Dr. M.K. Shishadri Prize in 2006 for his significant contributions. He presently is the director for ICMR at IOH, temporarily associated with NICED. And I think over his long stint, we have heard him different times at different forums. He's a sought after speaker at both national and international forums. And I think as we continue along with Dr. Pingle today, he was also there into another forum speaking about the emphasis on occupational health. So without further ado, let me invite Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar to share his thoughts on the topic today. Dr. Sarkar, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ashish, for your generous introduction. So should I share from here my slides? Okay, you have already done it. So this year's, am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So this year's theme is how to make it stop. This year's theme is Foundation for Future Ready Organization and Well-being of Workforce. Now, this slide shows WHO Healthy Workplace Model. Actually, in the core area, there are two diverse group, I should not say, but there are one side leadership engagement and other side is the workers' involvement, who are mutually related with ethical values and other certain values. In the outer sphere, there are 4 different kinds of environment: physical work environment, personal health resources, enterprise community involvement, and psychosocial environment. Within these 4 different kinds of environment, there are a series of activities that happens. That means assess different situations and then prioritize the activities, then plan for activities, then do activities, evaluate the activities, improve further based on evaluation results, and mobilize. So these are the activities which go off on and on within these 4 outer spheres, environmental spheres. Next. Now, components of healthy workplace. Actually, three environment or 3 aspects, they interplay with each other. Occupational health safety, which means physical, chemical, biological, ergonomic, and mechanical environment. And then organizational culture. There should be a very healthy culture and there will be mutual trust, relationship, etc. And other thing is the personal health practices. That means organizational support for all the employees and their needs, they should be taken care properly. Next. Now, creating a healthy workplace, what are the different components? There are several components. One is the senior management orientation and strategy planning. Then is the project leader or champion. Organization needs to find out some suitable project leader or champion, and then involving other employees, employee representative, supervisor, managers, etc. Then understanding where you are, that means where the organization is, the reviewing health and safety results. There should be auditing from time to time of the current system. The workplace hazard assessment, it should be done regularly. Then developing health, safety, and well-being vision for the organization. Then developing goals, strategies, and action plans, prioritizing and creating workable plan, measuring progress, celebrating success, using continuous improvement. These are the series of activities. These are the series of activities to be carried out depending on the situation and as per requirement for making the workplace healthy and safe. Next. Now, what I understand that in our country, if we think about our country perspective, we have almost 500 million workforce, Indian workforces, and of them 90% or more than 90% belongs to the unorganized sector workers and 5% is the organized sector workers. Now, in the unorganized sectors, their situation is little bit different or is different totally from the organized sector of workers. And if we think other aspects of the disease, the most occupational diseases are very difficult to treat. One, the disease sets in or developed already, it is very difficult to cure disease. But fortunately, most occupational diseases are preventable, provided it is detected at early stage. So, in every organization and every occupational health, one should make his best possible attempt to identify it or to detect it at very early stage. So I have taken an example of silicosis because silicosis is a very widely prevalent and very much neglected occupational disease from last several years, maybe several centuries. Silicosis we are encountering, and till now silicosis is very neglected and lot of people are dying. They are having several other problems due to silicosis. So being the head of this National Institute of Occupational Health, when I joined, I thought how to identify at very early stage of silicosis so that it can be detected, it can be prevented secondarily. Secondary prevention, as you know, that detection at very early stage and arrest the further progression of the disease, which is secondary prevention. Next slide. Next. So these are the very common activities. All of you are aware about it. As long as these kind of operations will continue, silicosis will continue to exist, and industrial hygiene plays the big role for this dust control and prevention of silicosis. Next. This is also a very common scenario. This is the workers working at rock mine in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Next. Stone quarry in Birbhum, West Bengal. This is also a very common picture. These are all, they are vulnerable to silicosis. Next. This I want to skip because the silicosis, about the causation of silicosis, everybody know this is a dust related disease due to inhalation of dust containing silica. The silicosis is produced. So I'm skipping this slide. Next. Next. In India, India has a huge burden of silicosis. Why silicosis is so important? It is not only for important for silicosis itself, but for other diseases also. Silicosis is very important, particularly tuberculosis. As you know, the India is committed to eliminate tuberculosis by 2025. But based on our working experience, we have realized that unless silicosis is not controlled or not eliminated, TB will never be eliminated. So for elimination of tuberculosis, silicotuberculosis has to be eliminated, and for silicotuberculosis to be eliminated, silicosis has to be eliminated. So we need to focus on silicosis, both for silicosis as well as tuberculosis. Another important thing is silicosis patients, when somebody suffers from silicosis, particularly advanced stage, he usually dies after short period. Had it been not that, some of them would have developed lung cancer also. So by preventing silicosis, we could prevent both silicosis, silicotuberculosis, as well as lung cancer. It is an estimated figure that 11.5 million workers are at risk of silicosis because of their day-to-day exposure. But being an epidemiologist, I strongly argue with the methodology and these estimation methods and this number, because it appears to be grossly underestimated. The actual number would be much more higher, maybe double or 3 times or maybe more. Silicosis is often associated with, as I told, silicotuberculosis and other problem of silicosis. When there is underlying silicosis, TB, that person develops TB, the treatment becomes uncertain, duration of treatment becomes uncertain. There is increased chance of development of drug resistance is there. So unless silicosis is controlled, the drug resistance TB, the problem of drug resistance tuberculosis also will be increasing continuously in India. So these are the other facets which need to be explored, which needs to be understood by all of us. And there is a lifetime risk of developing pulmonary tuberculosis in silicotic subjects even after stoppage of silica dust exposure. Because in South African study, they have shown that when a person, he works in the gold mine and after that he retires, but that after retiring, when he goes to the home finally and do not join to the service again, he develops within 1 or 2 years, he develops pulmonary tuberculosis. Because this silicosis, it continuously destroys the lung macrophages, or otherwise it is known as the lung immunity. Because of destruction or permanent destruction of lung immunity, for the rest of his life, he is at risk of developing pulmonary tuberculosis. Next slide. As I told, it appears unless silicosis is controlled, TB will not be controlled. Hence, we need an urgent initiation for National Silicosis Control Program for dual control of both silicosis as well as tuberculosis. Silicosis is usually diagnosed at an advanced stage, and nothing much can be done to prolong victim's life if detected at late stage. So secondary prevention by early detection of silicosis could be an option for control of silicosis, provided a suitable predictor is available along with a required policy. So country needs a suitable legislation. Next slide. Now, National Institute of Occupational Health, they conducted two studies based on silicosis, how to detect at early stage. In the first study, it was observed that there is a lung marker that is known as lung protein, which is known as CC16, club cell protein 16, which is secreted from the epithelial cells located in the terminal bronchiole. Now, more the lung is damaged due to silica dust exposure, and the CC16 value, the normal value is average normal value is 16 nanogram per milliliter of blood. When there is a continuous destruction, there is a continuous downfall of that CC16 protein, and by monitoring the CC16 protein downfall, we can monitor the rate of progression of the silicosis. In the first study, we found that the person who are having higher duration of exposure, they had the proportionately decline of CC16. But what happened when we made the manuscripts and sent it to a journal for publication, the peer reviewer, he told me that you have done right thing, it is okay, but does it reciprocate or does it corroborate according to the CC16 value to the lung damage? So you need to find out some mechanism to evaluate lung damage and then corroborate with the lung damage with CC16. So after that, we initiated the second study. There, we took the radiography, based on chest X-ray opacity, according to the size of the opacity as guided by ILO. We converted into, we gave them certain logical scoring system and the values, and based that we developed one lung damage evaluation method and scoring system. By using that, we developed the lung damage into three categories: the mild category, moderate category, and severe or advanced category. Next slide. So this is a slide which shows there is a moderate severe silicosis, not very severe, but moderate silicosis. Next slide. This is the advanced silicosis, but you saw the small opacities are there as well as large opacities are also there. Next slide. This is the CT scan of cross-sectional silicotic lung. You see there is silicotuberculosis cavity. The arrow is showing this is a silicotubercular cavities. Otherwise, the lung is full of silicotic nodules, that white patches. Next. As I told, the lung damage scoring and categorization was done based on 4 factors of X-ray opacities: the size of small opacities, the size of large opacity, profusion of opacity, and zone of lungs involvement. The size of small opacity, ILO has given us these guidelines, the PQR, the values are already there, and large opacity is also A, B, C. The values we have given as according to ILO. Then profusion also, there is category 1, category 2, category 3, etc. And zones in the lung, radiologically there are 6 zones. So how many zones are involved? So based on that, we developed a scoring system. Next slide. Next. The total score was obtained by multiplying small opacities denoted by X with profusion of the opacities denoted by Y, and the number of affected zones denoted by Z, and large opacities L. The lung damage scoring was calculated using X into Y into Z plus L. Mild lung damage, when lung damage score is equal to 1 to 6. Moderate lung damage is equal to when lung damage score is 7 to 15, between 7 and 15. And severe lung damage or high lung damage when lung damage score is equal to more than 15. Next slide. So in this way, we conducted a study in which 149 persons were subjected. Of them, 119 were confirmed X-ray confirmed silicotic subjects and 32 were healthy controls. And in this table, you can see the lung damage score for the mild lung damage. It was only 3.3. The mean lung damage score for mild 3.3. The moderate it was 9.9, and advanced lung damage it was 19.9. And serum CC16 for healthy control it was 16.3. For mild it was 8.4, and moderate it was 4, and advanced silicosis it was 0.7 only. Next slide. The same thing, the table which I showed in the earlier slide, it is converted into bar diagram. In this picture, the red one is the lung damage, the red represents lung damage, and the blue represents CC16 value. You see, when there is a healthy lung, the 16.3 is the CC16 value. When there is a mild lung damage 3.3, the CC16 is 8.4 nanogram per milliliter. When moderate 4 nanogram per milliliter, and when advanced lung damage there is 0.7 nanogram per milliliter. So it means it is inversely proportional with the lung health. More the lung damage, lesser is the CC16 value. Next slide. So there is a declining tendency, the trend is it is a downward trend. So based on that, we hypothesized and evidenced, ultimately it was evidence that silicotic lung damage, I'm coming later on, as we have worked on silicosis, so I'm talking about silicotic lung damage is inversely proportional with the CC16 values, or CC16 value is inversely proportional with silicotic lung damage. Next. Now, based on CC16 value, we can categorize lung damage into 5 categories basically. The normal lung, when serum CC16 between 12 to 20, all biological events, as we know, these are the variation is there. So average value is 16 nanogram per milliliter. When very early lung damage is there, between above 9 up to less than 12 is the CC16 value will be there, but it will be undetectable by chest X-ray. So very early stage of silicosis will remain undetectable by chest X-ray, which will be detectable by pathological examination or lung biopsy. So mild lung damage, which will be detectable by chest X-ray, the CC16 value will be more than 6 up to 9 nanogram per milliliter. Moderate lung damage, serum CC16 would be above 3 up to 6 nanogram per milliliter, and severe lung damage serum CC16 would be 0 to 3 nanogram. And value will be 1 to 2 nanogram per milliliter lesser in smoker compared to non-smoker. Smoking is the only confounding factor, but rest of the other factors are it is okay. Age, sex, we have tested. There is not much variation. But if somebody smokes, particularly in the early stage of silicosis, there is a increased effect of serum, increased decline of CC16 due to smoking effect. Next slide. This study was presented and it was recognized by Indian Public Health Association, and it was given the best oral presentation. Next slide. And this lung damage scoring system, based on that, I have already explained, and corroborating that with CC16 value. It was presented in annual meeting of Japan Society for Occupational Health Conference of International Session. They have given the Best Young Researcher Award. That means they have recognized this, our research work. Next slide. Following that, once we understood that CC16 has the potential to predict about the silicotic lung damage, so we quickly developed a kit. It is just like a point of care test kit, pregnancy detection type of kit. Our sister concern, National Institute of Virology, they have one unit in Mumbai. They have a biotechnology scientist. I requested him and they understood the problem. And then they quickly, their team, they started working, and ultimately they managed to develop. This type of kit they have done. See, in the serial number 1, there is only one red bar. that means it is a negative control line. If this line does not appear, that means test is invalid. So it is a negative control. In the serial number 2, there are one negative control and one positive control. When there is one positive control only, the CC16 value will remain between 0 and 6 nanogram. That means mild, that means moderate and 2 advanced silicosis. When other than negative control, there are 2 bar, that means in 3, then the silicosis, the level, CC16 level will remain between 6.1 to 9 nanogram. That means early silicosis detectable by chest X-ray. But when it is above 9 nanogram per milliliter, either there will be 3 bar, either the person is healthy or very early stage of silicosis not detectable by chest X-ray. Next. So this will be the image of the, when it will come in the market, it will look like this. Just next slide. So serum CC16, we are calling it as a proxy marker. As you understand, or we all understand that CC16 is not specific to silicosis. For any disease, when there is a lung destruction, the CC16 will alter. But since there is no direct marker for, or valid marker, I can say, useful marker for silicosis, that's why we have taken, as a public health specialist or from public health angle, it is a proxy marker. If we use it, apply it selectively among the silica dust exposed workers, it will give a fairly specific results to assess the lung health. Whether it is a mild lung damage, moderate lung damage, or severe lung damage, etc., it can indicate that. After that, the X-ray or CT scan confirmation can be there. It will avoid, there are advantages that it will avoid repeated chest X-ray exposure. And secondly, by doing this, a large number of, if we plan for a national silicosis control program, and if we implement it for periodic screening, particularly at least annual screening among silica dust exposed workers using all the primary health centers of the country, it can be very useful program which will give us early indication about silicosis. So all primary healthcare doctors need to be trained towards this to support above activities. All vulnerable unorganized sector workers with history of silica dust exposure must undergo annual screening of the CC16 status through nearby primary health centers. Suspected cases need to be confirmed by chest X-ray or high resolution CT scan. This may be linked with unique ID, that means Aadhaar, because we need, it should be related with time. Today somebody is having CC16 value something, after 1 year, 2 years, this value will change. So always it should be related with time. Time should be mentioned. A vulnerable organized sector workers, including hired contractual staff, must undergo serum CC16 evaluation annually and to be linked with unique ID. A suitable legislation is required jointly by the relevant authorities, that is Ministry of Health, Ministry of Labor, Ministry of Mines, Ministry of Industries together. And as I told, National Silicosis Control Program is urgently needed by the country for control of both silicosis and silicotuberculosis. Next slide. We published 2 papers. One is that silicosis can be predicted by CC16, secondary prevention of silicosis and silicotuberculosis by periodic screening of silica dust exposed workers using serum club cell protein 16 as a proxy marker. And second one is the kit, this paper describes about the development of kit, which was published in Nature Scientific Reports, and this one was published in Health Science Reports. Next slide. Now, Indian Council of Medical Research, that means Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, they have already approved our kit, and it was posted through their Twitter. Next slide. Now that this kit is under manufacturing, we have given license to 2 companies, they are preparing. This is another dimension of it. This is invisible silicosis or subradiological silicosis. It may sound little bit odd, but what I thought, let us open our eyes, because invisible silicosis or undetectable, radiologically undetectable silicosis is important to understand, important to know, because if we miss is invisible silicosis or undetectable silicosis, tomorrow they will develop silicosis. And in the South Africa, they have shown in their study that this undetectable X-ray, radiological undetectable silicosis, they develop tuberculosis 2 to 3 times higher compared to non-silicotic subjects. And this invisible silicosis, it is a lesser known, hardly recognized and often overlooked by us. The problem of invisible silicosis is, as we understand, that elimination of tuberculosis, the commitment of Government of India by 2025, it is not being progressed at a high speed the way it should have been progressed. It is not. The reason, one of the biggest reason is, or the challenge is, we are missing out the actual TB cases. If we need to find out or screen the real what is called vulnerable population, we should detect, or we should screen both silicotic as well as subradiological silicotic persons. Then, and if we screen them by both by CC16 kind of this kind of predictor as well as CBNAT or TrueNAT kind of diagnostic mechanism, probably the yield will be more. So the subradiological silicosis should not be neglected, although at this stage, as we have discussed, it is just like an eye opener. It may be debated, it may be, because it may be argumental at this stage. Many of us may not accept this, but we have already read, there are South African papers, they have beautifully explained we are missing tuberculosis cases because of we are ignoring subradiological silicosis. Next slide. So this is on South African paper. Those who are interested, I will request them to read out. This is a beautifully explained the importance of subradiological silicosis. And in our India, our country, we are a big population, huge population. We must realize and we must advocate in its favor for betterment, better control of tuberculosis and silicosis. Next slide. So this is my concluding slide. Elimination of tuberculosis in India requires prior elimination of silicosis, including subradiological silicosis. Our country needs a national silicosis control program on urgent basis, which may be restructured to silicosis elimination program subsequently. A suitable legislation is required by the authorities. CC16 kit may be used as a useful screening tool for early detection of silicosis by all primary health center doctors, etc. Next slide. So thank you for listening me.
Thank you, Dr. Sarkar sir. Dr. Ashish, would you like to?
So thanks a lot, Dr. Sarkar. I think you gave a practical insight into how an occupational disease can really make a difference, and how would it actually affect the entire well-being of the employees. I think a very relevant problem at large, and thanks for all of the insights. Now, Dr. Sandeep, can I request you to invite our next eminent speaker, Dr. Rajgopal, please, and if you could do the introduction as well.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish Vijay. So now, and thank you, Dr. Sarkar also. Now, it is a proud privilege to now to be listening to Dr. T. Rajgopal. Dr. T. Rajgopal, he is our past president, and he retired in December 2020 as the Vice President Global Medical and Occupational Health for Unilever. He has been a member of Unilever's Global Strategy, Global Safety and Health Leadership Team, and were responsible for providing strategy and leadership in comprehensive medical and occupational services covering more than 155,000 employees worldwide. He was a member of the Unilever's Global Human Resource Leadership Team, and he has a postgraduate qualification in preventive medicine, public health, then occupational medicine, and in health and hospital administration. He is also fellow of Royal College of Physicians, Ireland, and fellow of Faculty of Occupational Medicine, London and Ireland. In addition, he is also fellow of the Indian Association of Occupational Health and Indian Public Health Association. He is also alumnus of University of California, School of Public Health, Berkeley, having completed their Global Health Leadership Forum program in 2013 and 2014, and he is also recipient of prestigious Dr. B.C. Roy National Award in 2016. In the field of medicine, socio-medical relief, the award was given by Honorable President of India. And with this, I request Dr. T. Rajgopal sir. We had been eagerly waiting for your deliberations and your guidance, how to proceed further on this theme which has been given by our president. We all know that our role as occupational physician is very important in our industries and wherever we are working. And as Dr. Sarkar sir has also told that as occupational health physician, we need to diagnose early the cases of silicosis and tuberculosis, because now government is also rolling this tuberculosis control program in a large scale, and soon we all will be part of this program. And now, Dr. Rajgopal sir, everyone is eagerly waiting for your talk, sir, because we know that your guidance and support for our future activities that will be given by you, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep. At the outset, I just want to thank both Vijay and you for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts on what I believe are critical inputs for occupational health physicians as we navigate the future and work for organizations which are waiting to be future fit. So I'm just going to share my screen. Please bear with me.
Yeah, sure.
So I think you can see the screen now.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak to you on what do we do in terms of ensuring future fit and ready organizations, at least for the well-being of the workforce. And if you look at the traditional occupational health, you will find that we always deal with aspects like health promotion and health protection at the workplace, where traditionally we ensure a close synergy between human resources, supply chain, and safety. Can you see these slides?
Yes, sir.
All the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Also,
Okay. Can you? This one is on traditional occupational health. You can see this?
yeah, sir, you can make it in PowerPoint presentation.
So it is in PowerPoint presentation. So I'm just wondering.
In presentation.
Slide mode, sir.
Oh, so 1 minute. I will just start it again. Just a second.
You have to stop sharing and then again you have to reshare.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay.
If you're projecting it twice, then you have to change the display setting.
No. I'm not. 1 minute. Can you see this now?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there's something wrong. 1 minute. शानू ये क्या हो गया? So I'm just going to forward this and you can tell me if you are able to see this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see this now?
Yeah.
So when you look at traditional occupational health, what it normally does is to just look at health promotion and health protection. And here what you do is you have a close synergy between medical and occupational health with human resources and supply chain. If you look at health promotion, what we are traditionally doing is that we counsel our employees on lifestyle diseases. We try and promote mental and physical health. We implement various programs, including non-communicable diseases, as well as HIV, AIDS, etc., depending on what exactly is a matter of priority for the industries in which we are working. And when you look at the health protection aspect, the traditional ones are normally to do with health risk assessment, ergonomic evaluations, stuff like enzyme surveillance, especially if you're using enzymes at the workplace for food or other activities. And you look at various other irritants at the workplace and look at control of musculoskeletal disorders, noise-induced hearing loss and all. These are all extremely traditional way of looking at occupational health. So what do we do when we actually look at future fit organization? And here I would just like to give a quick definition of what a future fit organization exactly means. When you talk of future ready or future fit organizations, they actually measure progress, which is based on value generated for stakeholders through innovative solutions. And if you look at the diagram, if you have a company or if you have a manufacturing unit, it interacts with employees on one hand, it interacts with society on the other hand, and there's a fallout in terms of the environment in which we actually operate. It could be through waste or it could be through emissions. So you need to look at all this when you look at a future fit organization, because any future fit organization not only takes care of its employees, but is also socially conscious and responsible for the world and the environment in which it operates in. This is the classical case of the people, profit, and the environment. You know, the triple bottom line, which normally people talk about. In other words, you would hear the buzzword of ESG these days. That is to do with environment, social, and governance. And there's a huge impact which occupational health physicians can play in the social dimension. So let's now look at the way in which industries are going to evolve as we go around. Now, the fourth industrial revolution journey is already happening. Industries which are conscious are going to look at various aspects in the manner in which they run the industry. They will be agile. They will be able to ensure customer centricity. That means manufacturing processes, production, productivity, everything would be linked in terms of what the customer wants. In other words, the whole aspect of design thinking is going to be the core in which organizations are going to be run. That would require a great degree of supply chain resilience and eco-efficiency. And this is a diagram which actually talks to you about what is the most important thing as far as industries are concerned. And if you look at the bottom one, it says environmental and sustainability impact. In the light of this, and coming from where we were traditionally, what do we actually need to look at the changing role of occupational and environmental health? And it is here that I would just like to quickly dwell upon the global goals for sustainable development. If you look at it, the United Nations have given 17 different goals for sustainable development. And to me, an occupational health physician is uniquely geared to address many of these goals in terms of their inputs and their competencies and their actual contribution. And I will tell you why they are uniquely equipped to do so as we go along later. So let me just go to the next slide, and I will talk to you about what goals can they actually impact upon. These are the goals which I believe an occupational health physician is uniquely capable of influencing. That is to do with zero hunger. And I'm not talking only about its impact in terms of what is happening outside the industry, but within the industry. You know, you look at nutrition for the employees and the workforce. What sort of nutrition would you ask them to have? If you are giving cafeteria prepared food inside an organization, what sort of nutrition is good enough for them to ensure that they get their basic requirements and they don't indulge in food activities which would actually cause them harm in terms of non-communicable diseases? Then this entire space of good health and well-being, where you can combine your traditional health protection and health promotion with good sound clinical practice. I, for one, have always believed, and so have many of my colleagues who are now CMOs of leading organizations, including, I think, Sandeep, that you cannot separate clinical medicine and practice only occupational medicine. Your value addition to an industry comes when you actually also practice clinical medicine. If you want to get your top management buy-in and support, take care of them when they are ill. And then you talk to them about ergonomics and epidemiology, you will get a sound hearing. If you put the cart before the horse, occupational health will not succeed. So please ensure that primarily you are a reasonably competent clinician, and then you practice occupational medicine. Then there are a huge amount of impact which can be had in the workforce by gender equality. if you believe that 40% of the world's population are women, and they take the major decisions in everything which they do, even in the households, it is but logical and important that they should be given the pride of place as far as employment in industry is concerned. And it is here that occupational health physicians would be partnering closely with human resource to ensure that policies for safe employment of women are put in place. This would also include policies of workplace sexual harassment prevention. I'm just giving you one idea where you can actually help. So can occupational health physicians influence policies at the workplace? That's the most important thing. Clean water and sanitation. Many places across the world where, let's say, you're running a tea plantation as an industry, you would ensure that the employees who are staying on campus on the tea fields, they should be able to get clean water and sanitation. I'm just giving you one example. And similarly, you can actually think about how you can help propagate the concept of climate action and industrial infrastructure. So this is where occupational physicians, I believe, are going to make a huge impact as far as future fit organizations are concerned. Now, this is a very traditional way of looking at things, which is the physical, looking after our health, which is nutrition, recovery, exercise, and energy management. Then mental well-being, which is coming into a big fold right now. And one thing which has recently been added is the one on purpose. Why is it that people come to work every day? And here occupational health physicians can make a huge impact by helping human resources to chart out purpose activities as far as employees are concerned. And the one in yellow, which I spoke about, sustainability agenda, is a big thing moving forward. Dr. Sarkar spoke a bit about the healthy workplace criteria. I'm not going to go into details on that, but I'm just sharing a case study which is from Unilever, which incidentally won the Global Healthy Workplace Award in 2016. And Sandeep has also won it for Indian Oil, and I think Hero also has won this award, which essentially means that these are organizations which actually take place, which actually take into account the various inputs which are required for a competent health service and occupational health service at the workplace. So it would start right from the top with leadership commitment, will involve a lot of worker involvement, and also look at aspects like sustainability, innovation, and replicability. Are your programs beacons, or are they showing light to the rest of the world in terms of how to handle occupational health at the workplace? Now, some of you may have seen this slide in terms of what is required of occupational health physicians to succeed at the workplace. And here, I made this around a few years back when I had to develop this for Unilever, but it still holds true, except that I made a slight change in terms of skill levels, depending upon the future fit of the organization. How do you ensure that you are also future ready? So you can see that when someone joins at the factory level, the key input which is needed, if you actually look at it, are in terms of emergency care. And I talk about it even as clinical care and all, because your first job in an institution would be to provide clinical care. You don't need so much of expertise on OH strategy and all, but you need to have a good understanding of risk assessment, ergonomics, and epidemiology. There are various skill levels here. Skill level 2 is the basic appreciation. 3 denotes working knowledge. That means if you're left alone, you will be able to do it. 4 means you are fully operational, and 5 means you are leading. That means you are considered as a renowned expert. If you aspire to be a global head of a multinational or any other big company or an Indian-grown multinational, I strongly believe that nowadays public health and epidemiology capability is extremely crucial. You know, very often doctors come and ask us in various conferences, safety people have a lot of protection. You know, the laws protect them and they cannot be sacked. Why is it that occupational health people don't have any protection? We can be sacked at any time. So my answer to them is, don't hide behind the law. Develop your skills in such a manner that even if you want to go, your management doesn't allow you to go. So you must equip yourself to be able to deal with a changing world. And the only way in which you can do that is to continuously unlearn and learn. And I believe unlearning is as important as learning, because if you're stuck in the past, you will be showing slides which were taken 30 years back, and you will never progress behind that. Yeah. So let's look at how do you actually learn. Now, incidentally, I am doing this course from the National University of Singapore. And as I speak currently, you know, I'm enrolled in the course. I've done a couple of classes with them. And I'm just starting to understand this entire concept of artificial intelligence and its use in healthcare. And I've tried to associate this in terms of how do you actually use AI for healthcare? And now in the context of this talk, how do you use it as far as occupational health is concerned? You see, we all have probably access to big data through various sources. What exactly is big data? And I'll give you a very simple answer to it. Any data which cannot fit into your Excel sheet is a big data. Any data which cannot fit into your laptop is a big data. So from the data, whether it is structured or unstructured, you can get a lot of gleanings and learnings from it to help you plan intervention. This is especially true for people in the government, whether it is NIOH or CLIs and all. They can access across the country. They have so much of data, whether through factory inspector reports or through so many other reports. So from the data to insights, you can actually be predictive and prescriptive. What exactly is artificial intelligence? It mimics human intelligence. That's a short way of explaining it. Then you have this term called as machine learning, which is learning without explicit rules. And you see it happening repeatedly. When you go onto sites, there is a bot, a chat bot, which keeps asking you questions. As it asks you more questions, it gets more and more evolved and is able to answer to your question. And deep learning is, of course, in terms of multiple neural networks. So here I go back to my earlier chart of skill set, and I believe that expertise in public health and epidemiology, along with the synergy between clinical and at OH at the workplace, will actually help in terms of understanding what you need to do at the workplace. And it is here that AI can also help you. Let me give you a very simple example. This is a chart which is running around now for, I don't know, many years. The incidence of occupational diseases in India, whether it is through pesticide, cancer, pneumoconiosis, so many other conditions, including chronic respiratory diseases. So here it is that I believe that our national institutes, whether it is NIOH, RLI, CLI, can actually use big data to understand what is happening in India and thereby put in place preventive and promotive measures. Okay, now let's just shift gears and see what is going to happen in the mix of occupations. The traditional way of manufacturing is going to give way to various different occupations, and this is across the world snapshot. So what are the occupations which are going to increase in India? It is going to be health aides, STEM professionals, managers, business and legal professionals, transportation services. They are all going to increase. And what is actually going to come down in terms of the overall thing? You'll probably find that agriculture, production and warehousing, some of them may remain steady or they may actually come down. So when an occupational physician decides to actually practice the art of occupational medicine, either as a part of an organization or as a consultant, he or she should be aware of the changing trends in the workforce. There is this term called as gig workforce today. And what is gig workforce? People just freelance. They don't do anything. They move from one industry to another. How do you take care of the gig workforce as far as occupational health is concerned? This is going to be the future fitness for the occupational physicians themselves. So while we talk of an organization which is future fit, even the occupational physician needs to be future fit. Is it going to really change, the way the time is spent? And COVID has taught us that we can all work remotely, but is this going to be the truth as we go ahead? At least in the emerging economies, I think remote working is going to be not that great a mover or a distinct changer. India is known globally for its high-tech and financial services, but the vast majority of the 465 million people in India are occupied in occupations like retail services and agriculture. Now, these cannot be done remotely. And therefore, I'm really delighted that, as IOH, we have this manual on BOHS through the pioneering effect of Dr. Ramnik Parekh and his colleagues. This is a seminal document to support India's workforce. And what I would request, Sandeep, is that if this booklet is not still available with our national institutions like the CLI and NIOH and all, we should propagate it because they can really help us in terms of what we have set out to do to improve workforce of the unorganized sector. And finally, before I conclude, I just want to explain to you this concept about the lighthouse factories. One of my colleagues from Unilever is sitting here, Dharmesh Parekh. Now, lighthouse factories are those factories which have adopted sustainability at the highest level. And you can check with my Unilever colleagues that, their importance within an organization goes up tremendously, whether it is in terms of safety, accident prevention, whether it is in terms of occupational health, in terms of health promotion, health protection, and their inputs in terms of sustainability. So that this is going to be the shift. When you look at future fit organization, you will find that many industries, their sites are labeled as lighthouse sort of the tag is given to them, which means that they are environmental friendly, environmental cautious, and they put sustainability at the top of everything which they do. And therefore, it is important for occupational health physicians to understand where the world is moving. And I must just make a small mention here that there's a bit of disappointment that in terms of the training available for our occupational health physicians, other than the AFIH, which is a 3-month course, and where the degree of teaching varies from institution to institution, So therefore, the training is not uniform, and I don't think you can become an expert in 3 months. So I think what the IOH really needs to do sincerely, and all of us, are aware of it, is to see how can we strengthen institutional training so that our doctors, our occupational physicians are prepared for tomorrow. And for those of you who actually want to know what is the path ahead, occupational health can actually add value through people, talent retention. You can ask many doctors what happens in their organizations. Sometimes people say that because of the advanced occupational health and the fact that you are taking care of the health of the workers, talent continues to stay with us. They don't want to go for another place. Look at all the IT industry. There's so much of churn. And one of my colleagues, Dr. Shiva, was telling me that when he did a survey of IT industry, they actually don't focus on, the routine periodical health checkups also, because they feel it's a waste of money since people are in any case leaving. So we need to change the thinking of the industry also. Look at the legal value addition. Compliance with regulation is something which is very important, whether it is the Factories Act, the Workmen Compensation Act. In fact, I would go one step ahead and say, you not only comply with the intent, but also the spirit of the law. Corporate reputation, hugely important. Look at the accidents happening with release of various chemicals and gases in the air from time to time. That's a huge reputational risk, not to mention of the legal risk also. And financial, you all know these terms, so I don't want to dwell on them, whether it is presenteeism, absenteeism, or workman compensation aspect. What you need to do as an occupational health physician to yourself be future fit, you have to reinvent and keep learning. Continuing education programs from the IOH, CMEs, the IJOEM, and be a part of the ICOC scientific committees and start contributing to them. At the end of the day, the fact is that when you do a good job, the return on investment for industries in terms of occupational health is almost more than 3:1. So this is what I had to actually share, Sandeep and Vijay and all other colleagues who are tuned on to this talk of mine. This is how I believe that the future is going to shape up. And this is where I believe that we have a huge role and a huge responsibility to play. This is a virgin field as far as I am concerned, because COVID has shown that we can really make a huge difference. And the value addition of occupational health physician has increased significantly over the last 2 or 3 years. So with that, I am happy to rest my talk now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rajgopal sir. As always, I think there are several novel concepts which you keep on adding, educating us, and it's for us to imbibe. I think right from the beginning to now, your zeal for continuous learning is infectious. It's amazing to see that you're still taking up new courses and inspiring us to do better. You also talked about the lighthouse approach, and sustainability as a part of the triple bottom line approach is something which the industries are now looking up very significantly. Global corporations are looking up to the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, and as a part of that, how are we creating value for our shareholders, stakeholders, and for the community at large? So in a sense, I think you've talked about future fit organizations and the role which we can play as occupational health physicians within our industries. Goes without saying, this is a career which can really be very good, very enriching, very lucrative. It all depends on how we position ourselves within the industry. I think without taking too much of a time, I really want to thank you for your august presence today. And this entire discussion has been really enriching. Now I'll invite Dr. Sandeep to take over the rest of the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ashish, and thank you, Dr. Rajgopal sir, to enlighten us on this particular topic. As every one of us who are working in industry, they would like to know how we should proceed further in our industry, because after this COVID pandemic, we have seen that lot of changes in the work environment, lot of changes in the work working is there. And as we navigate through this storm of COVID-19 pandemic and prepare for the success in the post-COVID-19 era, this workforce health management, it has become very critical. And as you rightly said, we have to equip ourselves with the developing world, and we all need to be future fit, and we need to focus on areas which still many of us have not focused, and we have to fall in line with our business requirements and the sustainability goals which you have highlighted, they are very important, and we should start working on that. And the global healthy workplace, WHO healthy workplace model, which Dr. Sarkar and you also highlighted, that will be very important for occupational physician to focus, because it involves all these sustainable goals. It involves the workers, it involves the society, it involves the environment, it involves leadership, yourself. So everything, all aspects are they are readily covered by this occupational health model. And over and all, we all need to be a good doctor, good physician, so that we can have our impact on our employees, because ultimately what employees and management wants is a good health for the workers, good health for the management. We should be able to take care of our employees, our management, and with the latest techniques, latest innovations, we should go ahead. And learning is never over, as you are now learning new things with the developing world. And this will definitely bring more synergy with the occupational health. And uh, during this COVID pandemic, our occupational physicians, our members, our branches, they have done very well, and they have conceptualized and organized more than 250 virtual academic sessions for industrial physician and for the occupational physicians. And this COVID pandemic is definitely a challenge, but we have always utilized this crisis into an opportunity. And with all the support from you all seniors, we have always tried to grab the opportunities and take care of our workers' health and showcase what occupational health physician can do. And this is the right opportunity and the right time and the right theme which our president has given us. For another 1 year, we can showcase our activities, and we can further go ahead with the roadmap which Dr. Rajgopal sir you have shown, and Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar sir. So with this, I would request our Vice President, Dr. Sanjay Rotito sir, who is also Chairman of the Scientific Committee, to propose the vote of thanks. Dr. Sanjay
Thanks,
Rotito.
Dr. Thanks, Dr. Sandeep. On occasion of National Occupational Health Day celebration, today all of us have enjoyed excellent presentations by Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar and Dr. Rajgopal sir. Thanks to both of them. And also today's happy moment was the inauguration of the most awaited news magazine, Ocean. Finally, thanks to all our members who attended today's celebration. And let us become future fit occupational health physicians, and also enjoy the deliberations by the branches for the weekend on this theme of the Occupational Health Day. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
So thank you, Dr. Kamlesh Sarkar sir, our chief guest, Dr. Rajgopal sir, our guest of honor, and all the participants, all the panelists for this wonderful session and the opening of this academic sessions by the center on the Occupational Health Day theme, which has been given by our respected IUH president. And as you rightly said, this was also a great opportunity to revamp our Ocean newsletter, our mouthpiece, that is IUH newsletter. And with this, we can now conclude this session with a request to all the branches to have a successful Occupational Day celebrations across India, so that our IUH gets more visibility across India and across the globe, and this will help in successful organization of ICO 2027, which we all bagged this year. And with this, we should rise for national anthems.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sharma and Dr. Rao for inviting me. And I also thank Dr. Rajagopal for your nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you all very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, sir. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.